everyone, it's Tate with SpecTechular Gadgets, and in this video I want to tell you about my time spent with the VIVO NEX dual screen display. Now, every time I showed this phone to someone, they always ask the same question: wow, did you just do a magic trick? And the answer is no magic necessary. This screen has two displays. Yes, you heard me right and you saw it right. 1, 2. So, like I said, no magic necessary. Let's go ahead and talk about the things I like, the things I didn't like, and everything in between. You guys ready? Let's go. So let's take a look at this unique and two-of-a-kind device. I purchased this device for $730 from gearbest.com. This device was officially released January 4th, 2019. And so, unfortunately, even though this device was released in 2019, it still has a Snapdragon 845. But to me, that's not a bad thing at all, because the Snapdragon 845 is pretty sick chipset anyway. So no, it won't have the newest 855 that we should be seeing here shortly with many of the new devices coming, but it's still a great chipset no matter what. I did pre-order this device on December 28th, 2018, so it took about a month to actually get, and because, like I said, it wasn't released until the 4th, it took them some time to go ahead and get that to me. Let's talk about this screen resolution, because right now you are taking a look at the front screen. And so this screen resolution for the front is 2340 by 1080. And then let's turn this off and we'll turn it on this way. And let me open it with my face. And this screen that you see right here is 1920 by 1080, and they are both AMOLED displays. I believe this back one is 5.39 inches, and the one on the front is 6.4, I believe. So they're pretty nice displays. Very nice viewing angles on both, as a matter of fact. The blacks look super dark, and the screens both are just extra clear and crispy. And that's a really good thing when you're talking about an AMOLED display. Now, it's not a super AMOLED, but it is an AMOLED nevertheless. Now, when I first got my hands on this device and I started getting the phone how I want it, I first realized that it was very Apple-like. And what I mean by that is, like, with most Androids that I'm familiar with, when you take your finger and you slide it down, you normally see like settings and all the toggles for Wi-Fi and all that. Now on an Apple phone, if you slide it down, you get your notifications. So when Vivo designed this phone, or the software anyway, they had Apple in mind. And as you can see, it's very Apple-like. It just made me think Apple all the way. So we'll put that up. Now, how do I get to my settings and toggles of that nature? So what I have to do is I have to slide up from the bottom. And then there you have all your toggles, your screen brightness and your volume. And then, like, all the different toggles that you could ever want. And they go on and more. And then the 3 dots, there's even more toggles that you can add to this main screen right here. So if I had recent apps, this is where they would be up here. What I did, because it was so Apple-like and I think it's Fun OS is what was on here. I went ahead and slapped a Nova launcher on this, and this doing so allowed me to have a more familiar experience as with my other phones that I use. And that way I could organize everything in the way that I am used to, because with the Fun OS, they had apps just like iPhone. They were just all on all of the screens. There's no real way to organize anything. And if you know me by now, that's one thing that I absolutely hate about iPhones, that your apps are just freaking everywhere. Give me what? An app drawer So I can put all that crap in here and it's out of sight, out of mind. And then when I do need it, I can go into the drawer and I can retrieve whatever I need. I don't need to look at things that I just don't want to see. And even this is a lot, but it's still way more organized than the iPhone, or if I left it with the Fun OS on. And then I have a calendar and then just some other widgets that I placed on there. And it looks very similar to one of my main daily drivers, which is my Mate 20X, and it worked out pretty well. And it's also, let me use my face unlock, same thing on this screen. They work, both screens work absolutely the same way. So fully functional. Let's talk about battery. So this device comes with a 35 milliamp battery, and you would say, or you would think, well darn, it's like powering 2 screens. Won't that just eat it down in no time? And as a matter of fact, I was using the phone, I was on YouTube, music, doing all that, the stuff that I do normal any day. And I actually received all day battery life. Put it on the charger around like 11, something like that, and I got all day battery life. And then even, you know, let's say I didn't get a chance to charge it at night, I can put it on the charger and it charges actually super fast. I don't even really know, like what, 30 minutes and I'm completely topped off from it hitting, like, I'm gonna say maybe 25%. So no, it doesn't have wireless charging for obvious reasons. I mean, there's 2 screens. So, but because it's wired charging, it does actually charge pretty quickly. This phone also features Bluetooth 5.0, and it also, I'm not sure what the Wi-Fi radio is, but it is amazingly strong. And I say that because I was at work one day and I wanted to latch on to one of the Wi-Fis, and this phone picked up the Wi-Fi, and my Huawei phone, it also picked up the Wi-Fi, but the signal was so low and it really wouldn't even connect to it because the signal was so low. And this one, it picked it up. Let's talk about how to go between screen from the front to the rear screen. You could do this in many different ways. So one of the easiest ways is to, there's a button right here and a button right here. You press both of them. There's an animation that's telling you to turn over to proceed. And just like that, the rear screen is ready to go, and I can carry on whatever I was going to do. Another way that you can do is you can just simply turn this screen off using the right side power button, and then you just turn it over, and on this side you hit the right power button too, or you can just use your fingerprint and I'm in there. Another way to switch the screens is if you go up, there's a display in the other little toggle. If you press that, I get the same deal. It's just another way to go ahead and use the other screen. I don't know why you would do it that way. It actually takes longer. So let's talk cameras. The cameras, which there are 3 on this device, are located on the rear screen of this device. It has a 12 megapixel, 2 megapixel, and a time of flight 3D camera. Selfies on this device are just amazing. They're pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the pictures that I shot using the VIVO NEX dual display. You see that there's a ring on here, and this helps with lighting, and then it also has a flash on both sides of the ring as well. And this ring I found to be pretty cool. Take a look at this picture that I took in my room, and it was pitch black, as you see. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. So that was pretty cool. Now let's take a look at the camera and some of the features that it has. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the selfie camera on this device. It's one of the best selfie cameras that I've seen in a long time, and it actually should be, because it's using the only set of cameras. It's using the front and where everything's all in one, so it should be a good selfie camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and press the camera button, and let me see. Okay, so here is the selfie camera. Okay, let's take a look at some of the settings within the selfie camera. And here are the settings for this camera. I'm in 16:9. And then there's right here, as you see, there's different ways to go ahead and take a picture. You can touch it using the button. You can voice, and I don't have that on. The things that are in yellow is how you know that they are activated or on. So I do have, I can take the picture by palm. Then you have time watermark or model watermark, mirrored selfie I don't have on, sound I don't have on, then locations, and so on and so forth. So let's say that I wanted to take a picture using my palm. So all I have to do is have my palm up, and as you see, the ring is actually, and it's counting down, and it just took a picture. On the bottom here, this is like almost like a wheel, and if you cycle through this, you can get all the different type of modes that there are within the selfie camera. They even have little AR stickers. Hey, Catwoman, look. So they have different stickers, and if you wanted to see more of the stickers, you just press the sticker button for people that are into that. And there's so many. I'm not really into this, but you know, it's fun if you're trying to be funny or whatever. You can just do all of this. You see actually how loud the speaker got. That's what I said. The speaker isn't, it's not the best, but it's absolutely not the worst. And I guess it works pretty decently. Yeah. Let's go back to the camera. So we'll turn it around, and we'll take, let's just have this next picture sitting here. And within just the regular non-selfie camera, you get to have professional mode, pano, night, beauty, photo, video, and then also AR stickers for the person that you could possibly be taking a picture of. Speaking of the person that you're taking a picture of, this camera, if you press this little icon right here, this allows for the person, let me press it first. See the rear screen camera's on, it even lets you know that it's on. Allows that person to see how they look. If their glasses are crooked, if their hair is sticking up, they got something in their teeth, they'll be able to see themselves before you snap that picture. So I find that pretty cool. So just keep that in mind. That's a really cool, that's something that some of these other cameras, they can't do because there's no other screen for them to do it. Okay, and then these are just your normal, like, do you want the camera to take up the whole screen? There's different poses. If you want to find different ways to go ahead and pose, if you're getting tired of the same old pose, they give you ideas. Anyways, here are some different filters if you wanted to use any of the different filters here. So I feel that this has a lot of features within the camera, and it's great that it does have professional mode. The phone itself comes with 10 gigabytes of RAM, and that is a lot of RAM just for a phone. I find that the phone runs very snappy. It's very fast. I haven't experienced any lag at all. It can have so many apps open because it just knows they optimize it pretty decently. I haven't had any hiccups anyway. And one time I found I had like every app open and it still was just flying through just fine. So no stuttering, no lagging. Now let's speak of gaming. 10 gigs of RAM. Gaming should be smooth, buttery smooth, effortless, no hiccuping, none of that. As I hit PUBG, I get this game assistant screen that automatically popped up. This gives you options on what you want to happen while you're in game, which is nice. And so right now what's toggled on is background calls. You can auto reject calls. You can block floating previews. Then on the right side here, it's talking about that the CPU is optimized, the RAM is optimized, the game keyboard is on, and incoming call and alarm improvements are on. Everything is to your liking. You can go ahead and say okay, or you can say don't prompt me again for this particular game. So I'll just say okay. And as you hear, the speaker for this game, it sounds pretty decent. What do you guys think? So I'll go ahead. Now let's take a look at the screen, because the screen is a beautiful screen. But if you notice, you see my icon right there, my SpecTechular, it's kind of cut off on the edge, you see? And then moving off onto the left side of the screen, the start button is slightly cut off too. Let's look at the bottom of the phone. And slightly, just a little bit, but I feel that this was not optimized. This app was not optimized for this device. And to be sure, we'll take a look at PUBG on the Mate 20X. This is a 7.2 inch screen. Let's take a look at this one just to make sure that I'm not tripping. As you see, it is not cut off. SpecTechular Gadgets icon right there is not cut off. Start button is far from being cut off. All my icons on the bottom are there. So that's the difference right there. And we'll play to show you you're not gonna experience any lag. Plus, we'll also be able to use the rear screen as virtual buttons, which I find is cool. So that way you can be able to have more screen and see what you're doing than everything on here. So I'll be able to shoot from these buttons back here. And how you would do that is if you swipe right, you see I get this menu as I did that. Then this button right here, you get a choice, few choices. So we want to enable the rear screen, and as you saw, there's A and B. And if I take both my middle fingers on the back, you see A, B, and I'm hitting that left and right on the rear screen. So I'll go ahead and say I want to save my changes, and now I'll be able to use the back buttons to punch, to shoot, and the match will start here shortly. But the map is slightly cut off, and the alive is also cut off, big time. Anything on the bottom that's cut off, and this is slightly down here, that's cut off. And look, day and night, the option for day and night is also cut off. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop. I'm using my right middle finger to punch. And I died. But that's how you would use the rear buttons to play. First off, I know you noticed it, but the size of the rear screen on some of the apps or most apps, look how small and like compressed. It's like squeezed in. It doesn't even take the full screen. It's not full screen at all. And that's what most apps, YouTube and a majority of the apps. Where it doesn't do that is like, see how settings, it takes it, the settings screen, it uses the full screen of the back display. But if I want somewhere like YouTube, you see YouTube? You see how small it is? And so that's one of the things that's a little annoying. I tried to go through the menus and see if that's just something that I could change, but I have yet to find anything. I'm not sure if it can be done. But if anyone else has been able to make the rest of the apps full screen, let me know. But what the rear screen does have is this sidebar, and what I did was add a lot of the mostly used apps on here. The next thing that you should be aware of if you're considering this device is that it is a GSM device, meaning you won't be able to use it if you're on Sprint or Verizon. T-Mobile doesn't play nice with this. I put a Mint Mobile, which they use T-Mobile towers. I put a Mint Mobile SIM in this device, and all I could get was Edge. I put a Cricket SIM, which is AT&T. They use AT&T towers. When I put my Cricket SIM in, I got really good reception. I was in H or H+. Everything seemed to work well. So in conclusion, what I would say is if you're with AT&T or Cricket, you should be really good. It'd be a good device to get. But if you're using T-Mobile, it appears that maybe one of the bands or a few bands that T-Mobile uses is missing from this device. I'm not sure which ones, but from experience, me putting in both SIMs, the Cricket SIM worked, the T-Mobile SIM did not work. Please be aware, you've been warned. The next thing about this device that I don't like, but it's not a deal breaker, is this is a playground for fingerprints. I don't know if you can see. Let me just look at all the fingerprints. And it's double the fingerprints because it's two screens. You know, usually I keep a case. I have a case on all my phones. So all I have to do is worry about the front. But you're touching the back constantly, and the back is the front and the front is the back. And so it is a huge playground for fingerprints. Next, I wish you see here, here we go. This is a always on display, and I wish that it was interactive, and it's not. Next thing, and my last complaint is that this is not, it doesn't have a IP rating. So that just about does it for my 2-week review and use of the VIVO NEX dual display device. So that about wraps it up on my experience with the VIVO NEX dual screen display device. It was, it's a nice experience. It's a very unique device. It's one of a kind, or two of a kind, because the only other one that I know about that's very similar to this is the Nubia X. And so I did have a great time using it. I think the cameras are pretty great, and it's just a really unique device that I've never had before. So you go ahead and decide for yourself if this is something that you would possibly consider. Until next time, everyone, I want you all to have a spectacular day. Later.